Let's give our praises to the Most High, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in the ancient Hebrew is the Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS, who taught us this truth by the Holy Spirit. Honors to the brothers risking their life and freedom to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the elect, who consist of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel, according to scripture and prophecy. The elect will be 1/3 of the Israelites, who in these last days are returning back to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai for salvation, while the 2/3 of Israel who don't seek the Lord in time be destroyed with America. We back with another lesson through the mercy and spirit of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Lesson is going to be titled, "The Lord Shall Consume with the Spirit of His Mouth." Thessalonians 2:8 breakdown. Something like that. And we just going to get it real quick. And then shall that wicked be revealed. So, step one, the wicked is going to be revealed. And it says shall, meaning pointing to the future. And we in that future in which the wicked is being revealed every day. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and the people at the top, them fake Israelis, the Israelites. It says, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. That's the part we're going to break down. And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Bear with me one sec. So yeah, that's what we're going to break down. Shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. Because when you look at what's going on the world stage, what people are talking about, things that people are looking up, information that people is coming across, lies that are being exposed, the truth is springing up, it's exposing a certain group of people. And again, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, with the people at the top, them Israelites. You know, people who say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So that's what this is really saying. That a certain nation of people, a certain man in the last days will be exposed and be found out to be the wicked. So we're going to look up this word consume, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. We're going to look at it in the Greek. Consume, G355. It says to consume, to expend. Look at this, to destroy. So the wicked would be destroyed with the spirit of the Lord's mouth, whom the Lord shall consume or destroy with the spirit of his mouth. Now, the spirit of his mouth, what does that mean? Well, when we come here to the book of Exodus 4:15, the backstory here, the Lord is about to send out Moses and Aaron. Aaron will go out as a prophet, and Moses will be a God before the people. And I guess I get 14 for some context. Exodus 4:14. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he can speak well. Because Moses was telling the Lord, how am I going to speak to Pharaoh, speak to the people? I'm not a good speaker. So the Lord said, I'm going to send Aaron. And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee, and when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart. So the Lord was going to put on Aaron's heart, to be happy to do what the Lord is commanding of him. This is the point. And thou shalt speak unto him and put words in his mouth. So Moses would tell Aaron what to say. And this is the point. And I will be with thy mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you what ye shall do. So the Lord said he's going to be with Moses and Aaron as they speak against Pharaoh and speak to the people of Israel. The Lord said, I will be with thy mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you what ye shall do. And that's the same case for the prophets here in the last days. The Lord, the Spirit of the Lord is with the mouth of the prophets. Verse 16, it says, and he shall be thy spokesman unto the people. So that's what the prophets are. They're spokesmen to the people, to the house of Israel, and to the other nations. And he shall be, even he shall be to thee instead of a mouth, and thou shalt be to him instead of a God. So Moses will be a God by performing miracles through the power and spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. And Aaron would be the spokesman, the prophet. So back to the book of 2 Thessalonians 2:8, and then shall that wicked be revealed. That's happening now. Whom the Lord shall consume or destroy with the spirit of his mouth. So when the Lord put his spirit in your mouth to be a spokesman to the people, and we know the Lord speaks by the prophets. We'll show that real quick. This is the book of Habakkuk. Is it Habakkuk? Actually, I think it's Hosea. It's been a minute. Hosea 12:10. Yep. I have also spoken by the prophets. I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. How did the Lord speak by his prophets? By putting his spirit in their mouth, instructing them what to do, instructing them what to say. So again, back to Exodus 4:16, 4:15. Thou shalt speak unto him and put words in his mouth. I will be with thy mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you what you shall do. So people speaking truth in the last days, that's by the Spirit of the Lord. Now back to 2 Thessalonians 2:8, and then shall that wicked be revealed. That's the first part, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. That's the reaction to the wicked being revealed. They will be consumed or destroyed by the prophets and by the people speaking truth. Now we're going to look at this word spirit. G4151. It's going to say a lot of stuff. You know, the Holy Spirit, the spirit by which the body is animated. But look at this, the spirit of truth. So the wicked will be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume or destroy with the spirit of his mouth. By the Lord putting his spirit in the mouths of the prophets to speak the truth. So the wicked, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is being consumed or destroyed by this truth. Now, no matter who the truth comes from, the wicked, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, them fake Israelis, they being destroyed by this truth. It says, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So that's the end result. The wicked ultimately going to be revealed. There's going to be a reaction. They're going to be consumed, destroyed. They're going to be salty about it. And then the Lord going to destroy them at his return. So I got a couple video clips. We're going to see who's being exposed by the truth that's coming out from the people that's speaking the truth. We're going to see who the truth is consuming or destroying. We're going to see who's hurt by the truth, because it's all geared towards a certain group of people. In general, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, but specifically them fake Jews. So we're going to see who the wicked is. We're going to see who's being exposed for being a liar. So let's get some of these video clips.
The Jews? I said the Jews ain't the Jews. I said, you said you are Jews, but you are not. You are the synagogue of Satan.
Who is that?
Those Jews, everyone thinks of Jews. It's a big deception. The Bible talks about the coming great deception. That's part of the coming great deception. But the Jews, the real Jews, the tribes, they were scattered about. They were kept in slavery.
And what do they look like?
Well, the dark skin for one.
Okay.
How many know? The dark skin. How many know? You have wiry hair. How many know?
Like woolly hair, you said?
Yeah, like wool. Hair like wool.
Okay.
It's written in scripture. I mean, we just overlook it because we're taught a westernized version of Christianity or the gospel. Well, that ain't the gospel. It's just far from. It's like Catholicism and Protestantism.
Right.
Catholics and the were divided. Islam and Christianity divided. Well, there's a truth out there.
Here's a little fuck lesson for everybody. The true Jews are the black people, the Hebrew Israelites, the ones that everybody says, oh, they're no. Some of them get lost and say that they're only saved because of their skin. That's not true. Everyone is saved when everyone admits those people were the ones that were enslaved all throughout time. Then you cling.
And the scriptures don't say that everybody is saved by admitting the truth. That's not in the scriptures at all.
Their lineage, not them, but to the father of them. Yahusha was a bronze-skinned man. The Jews of now are white people claiming to be black people. It is a lie. They even changed the definition of that in the dictionaries. But when you recognize that, and you recognize that they were enslaved, then you can truly have truth, so you can be accepted by the Father. His name is Yahuwah.
Yahweh.
J or Jew term was conned by the Khazarians, the Germans, and the Ashkenazis, and it's a lie. You're not
hear that?
J or Jew term was conned by the Khazarians, the Germans, and the Ashkenazis, and it's a lie. You're not saved by skin.
So we're gonna jump forward to the next clip.
Her gifts that is just so.
We don't know who they are. I know who they are. It's
Who
clear. It's you guys. It's
What do you mean by you guys?
the folks that were sent through the transatlantic slave trade. The folks that are still in the lands of their captivity. Israel is in the lands of their captivity. There is no creation of the so-called state of Israel in 1948. That does not fit prophecy. There's people over there that call themselves Jews. They call their own selves Ashkenazi. If you go look at Genesis chapter 10, 1 through 5, it tells you Ashkenaz is descended from Japheth, Noah's son Japheth, not Shem. That means he's a Gentile. I'm a Gentile. You know, we're Gentiles. And I mean, like, I wasn't brainwashed. I got the Bible before they do the brainwashing of the programming and try to make you think Egypt is white, which is ridiculous because it's Africa. So, you know, all that's Africa. So, you know, I'm thinking clearly because I read it. I know what's going on.
All right, we're gonna jump forward.
The folks you see over there in Israel now calling themselves Jew are just the Khazarians and Ashkenazi who adopted the culture around the year.
Sunday.
In the 19th century, the idea of Jewish blackness was reinforced by the discovery of all of these actual black Jews in India and Africa all over the place. And by 1850, the main racial theorists of the day started saying that yes, actually, Jews are Negroes. Negroes, in some way, are also Jews.
Okay, so this might hurt.
So I'm just going to drop a little 1-2 really quick because I'm not trying to make it very long in this video. But I would encourage you to, number one, read Deuteronomy 28. Read Deuteronomy 28, okay? That is the first step. Number two is that in the Bible, if you read your Bible, you'll understand that Israel is not a state, a country. It is a people. It is a people, 12 tribes, okay? It is a people, not a country, all right? And then just a little fact on top of that. Israel, the state or the country that we know of today, was founded in 1948. So how can something that was founded in 1948? Come on, people. Come on. I was once like you.
So why is all this information coming out? Why is it trending? And this is not just a black thing, this is what black people believe. No, you see, it's all kind of groups of people, males, females, so-called black, so-called whites, different age groups. Well, when we get this, book of 2 Ezra, chapter 6, verse 18, and it said, behold, the days come. It's pointing to the future. And it's talking about now, that I will begin to draw nigh and visit them that dwell upon the earth. And the Lord is visiting us in the spirit before he actually returns. It says, and I will begin to make inquisition of them. Would they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness? And when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. So the Lord said he's going to make inquisition of the wicked for their unrighteousness, how they destroyed the earth and oppressed the people. Let's look at this word inquisition. A period of prolonged and intensive questioning or investigation. And all the people that just spoke, who are they speaking against? The house of Edom, the so-called white man, but specifically against them fake Israelis. That's who being questioned on their identity, their history, who they say they are, and who's being investigated. The whole house of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Because while they questioning and making intensive investigation on them fake Israelis, well, they doing the same thing to the white man here in America. Did them with Trump and the Epstein and just the white man's history in general. They're the only people on the world stage, who's being questioned and investigated. Everything they taught us, things they've done around the world. It's not the Chinese, it's not the Africans, it's not the Arabs that's being investigated or questioned, but Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. So that's why this seems to be trending. This is the spirit of the Lord visiting the earth. And then the Lord said in the book of Joel and in the book of Acts, he'll pour out his spirit upon all flesh. Let me see if I can find that real quick. So this is the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 28. It shall come to pass, and it's pointing toward the future, which is now. It shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, your men shall dream dreams, and young men shall see visions. Also upon the servants and upon the handmaids, in those days will I pour out my spirit. And when we looked up that word spirit, it said what? It said the spirit of truth. So the spirit of truth is being poured out on all the people. Now, this information that these people are speaking, where did they get the information from? They got it from the servants, the prophets. The Lord poured into their cup, and their cup spilled over. Now, everybody else is soaking up this truth, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And guess what? Their cup is filling over. And now they spreading the truth. But who's the truth hurting? Is it hurting the Chinese man? Is it hurting the Japanese man? Is it hurting the Africans? Or is the truth exposing Esau, Edom, the so-called white man? And at the top, them fake Israelis. So we're going to get on to this next group of clips. And I showed this one recently, but I want to show it again. Because not only can we now tell those fake Israelis they're not the real Jews, they're not the true Israelites, we can tell them who they are. You know, them Germans, the Khazarians, which all go back to Esau Edom. And at this point, it's common knowledge. I did a video on that.
All right, let's listen to this and then we will continue.
So it's not the Jews, it's the Edomites posing as Jews. Edomites are the Canaanites, and if you know the Bible...
I've been saying this, it's really not the Jews, it's the Satanists that have hijacked every religion.
You know the story of Jacob and Esau. Esau was cursed. He went and married 2 Canaanite women, and their tribes became the Edomites. The Edomites were eventually absorbed into Israel and were converted into Jews, but they kept their dastardly...
And how did they get absorbed into Israel? Well, what happened was the Khazarian Mafia, which was located north of Israel in that region, all of the neighboring countries got so sick of their disgusting evil practices that the rulers of the surrounding countries forced them to pick a religion. It forced the leader of the Khazarians to pick a religion to follow, so that way there could be an attempt at peace in that region, and that neighboring countries' traders wouldn't have to deal with passing through Khazaria, where a lot of them actually went missing. So their solution was to force them into a monotheistic religion.
And this is all real history. You know, them Khazarians who now identify as the so-called Jewish today, they were a nasty people. And then again, the surrounding kingdoms told these people, y'all need to pick a religion. Y'all need some kind of order. Y'all need some kind of civilization. So they converted to Judaism, which has nothing to do with the scriptures. They take parts of the Bible and they combine it with paganism. So the paganism continued even after they took on a so-called religion.
And the Khazarians chose Judaism, the Khazarians being Satanists.
Ways. And they are the synagogue of Satan that Jesus was rebuking because they were living amongst the Israelites at the time. And from what I read, King Herod was actually part Edomite. But long story short, they killed Jesus. They killed the real Messiah. Their whole thing was about stealing back the blessing that Esau stole from Jacob. So they killed Christ and have been working with Satan to destroy the world. But in the Bible, it's written that the righteous tribes will rise and that God will destroy each and every one of them.
And that's what's significant. As we waking up to our identity, you know, being the lost 12 tribes of Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we waking up to our identity. Guess what else we waking up to? That Esau Edom is the white man, that they the wicked. So that's why that's the importance of knowing who you are. If you don't know who you are, you don't know who the enemy is. And us being the righteous, us being the Israelites, it only makes sense that he's the wicked. Because all the stuff that was done to the Israelites in the scriptures, Esau the white man is doing it today. On a way higher level.
Edomites will go to live in the Holy Land, the fake Jews, the ones who worship the Star of Raphim, the six-pointed star that they have on their flag and have legitimized to all of us via their psyops. The six-pointed star Jews, those are the Edomites posing as Jews. They're really just continuing the Canaanite practice of child sacrifice, satanic Baal worship, Moloch worship, all that nasty such Saturn worship, child eating, child blood drinking, child sacrifice, etc. And they're posing as Jews. And they are the ones that Jesus Christ called the synagogue of Satan. And yeah, so it's not the Jews. It's the Edomites posing as Jews. The Khazars, the Ashkenazis, the Canaanites that basically migrated to Ukraine. But the good thing is, according to the Bible, we don't need to do anything. God is going to smite each and every one of them. And he said he was going to do it when they return to Jerusalem, which they all are. And they're going to try to bring about a fake Messiah, but God's going to destroy each and every one of them. He said he's going to destroy the entire bloodline of them.
Well, this is pretty dark, but it's the truth.
So, yeah, back to 2Thessalonians. Well, let me hit this again. 2 Ezra 6:18. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and visit them that dwell upon the earth. The Lord is visiting the earth in spirit, and will begin to make inquisition. Inquisition being a prolonged and intensive questioning and investigation. There's only one people in the earth that's being questioned, that's being investigated. In this investigation, this questioning, this inquisition, is the Lord bringing them up on all their charges before the world stage. And this is trending. It's a trend to search out Esau the white man, to look into his history, to expose his lies. Everybody's doing it. Even people who identify as so-called Jewish. That's the spirit of the Lord on them. Back to 2Thessalonians 2:8, and then show that wicked be revealed. The wicked is being revealed during this inquisition, this period of intensive questioning and investigation. People doing homework, people doing research, the spirit of the Lord coming on the people. To prophesy, to speak truth. The wicked shall be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. So as the wicked is being revealed, he's being destroyed, consumed by the truth, by the spirit of truth. And again, the spirit of the Lord's mouth is the Lord putting his spirit on the people to be a spokesman. First, beginning with the servants, the prophets, similar to Moses and Aaron. Again, Exodus 4:15. Thou shalt speak unto him. Moses would instruct Aaron and put words in his mouth, and I will be with thy mouth and with his mouth. So the Lord will ultimately be with the mouth of Moses and Aaron, and will teach you what you shall do, meaning instruct them on what to say. So everybody that's speaking truth, the Lord is instructing them on what to say. That's the spirit of the Lord taking over. And he shall be thy spokesman to the people. The servants, the prophets, are the spokesmen to the people today. But the Lord is pouring out his spirit on all flesh. So the Lord making a spokesman out of everybody. Now, moving on, we going to look up this word spokesman. Because again, the Lord's making a spokesman out of everybody. And wait till you see what we see here. Spokesman, H1696. Now we'll say a lot of stuff. So a spokesman, to speak, to declare, to converse, to command, to promise, to warn, to threaten, to sing. And when you sum it up, this means to prophesy. The spokesman would prophesy. To speak with one another, to talk. Now let's go to the Strong's. Hold on, where was it? Strong's definition. Look at this word for spokesman. To speak, to subdue, to appoint, to command, to commune, to declare, to destroy. So a spokesman would destroy. What? Destroy the lies of the devil. You saw the so-called white man, to destroy kingdoms. Well, matter of fact, let's show that real quick. That ultimately, the Lord using the prophets as spokesmen, again, is to warn, to command, to threaten, to promise, to destroy. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 10. See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out, to pull down, and to destroy, and to throw down, and to build, and to plant. And how would the prophets root out, pull down, and destroy nations and kingdoms? I should have got verse 9. Then the Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth. See, that's the spirit of his mouth. The Lord put his spirit in the mouths of his prophets. Let's go back to 2Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. Same thing the Lord did to Jeremiah. he put his hand on his mouth. Same thing the Lord did to Aaron and Moses. And the Lord said unto me, behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. So when we speak truth, these are not our words. These are the words of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah. When Moses and Aaron spake to Pharaoh, the Lord was speaking through them. In 2 Thessalonians, when it says the wicked shall be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, the Lord is speaking through everybody that's speaking truth, beginning with the servants, the prophets, and everybody else who speaks truth. The Lord is putting his spirit in their mouth. The Lord is speaking through the people. All right, and the Lord said unto me, behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. See, I have this day set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out, to pull down, and to destroy, and to throw down, to build, and to plant. So the Lord put his spirit in our mouth, put his words in our mouth, the spirit of truth, to tear down the white man's kingdom, ultimately to destroy it. So a spokesman does many things. It said to warn, to declare, to command, to promise, to teach, to tell, means to prophesy, but to destroy. Now that's why everybody is speaking truth, and the truth is consuming and destroying Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. But let's look up this word destroy. We got to get that too. Yeah, it says to put an end to the existence of something by damaging it or attacking it. And we putting an end to the white man's kingdom that was built on lies, destroying it by speaking truth. Now look at this. It says to destroy, to ruin someone emotionally or spiritually. Now back to 2 Thessalonians 2:8, and then show that we could be revealed. It says, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. So it's somebody that will be consumed, that will be destroyed, that will be butthurt by the truth. They will be butthurt, ruined emotionally and spiritually. Now, when we out there teaching, prophesying, or when truth is being spoken, who's the main group of people complaining against the truth? Trying to save themselves. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. They're the main one who get a negative reaction out of this truth. This truth that we speak, the words of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, is not hurting the Chinese man. It ain't hurting the Japanese man. The Africans don't give a damn about the truth. It's not the East Indians or the Arabs. Nobody is being consumed or destroyed by the truth except the house of Esau. With those at the top who's being, completely destroyed is them fake Israelis, because even they are being spoken against by other Edomites. House of Esau speaking against himself. And that's Matthew, is it 12 and 25 and 26? Satan shall cast out Satan, a kingdom divided. So yeah, it then so that we could be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. They being hurt, they being destroyed emotionally and spiritually. And that's why when we get this in the book of Proverbs 18 and 14, the spirit of a man will sustain his infirmity. It says, but a wounded spirit, who can bear it? So this truth is doing more damage than we think. It's doing so much damage, they gonna crash the internet or do it worldwide, multiple cyber attack. They gotta crash this whole system because the truth coming out. That's how dangerous and devastating the words of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai are. Matter of fact, let's go back to the book of Jeremiah 1 and 9. And then the Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth. And the Lord said unto me, behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. See, I have this day set thee over the kingdoms and nations, to root out, to pull down, and to destroy, and to throw down, to build, and to plant. But somebody may say, well, how is this truth destroying America? How is the truth going to destroy the white man's kingdom? Well, first, it's hurting them, emotionally, spiritually. So they're going to get desperate, and they're not going to be thinking correctly. And to try to silence the truth, they're going to crash their own system. They gonna crash the internet. They gonna do cyber attacks. They gonna do, crash the dollar. However it play out. They gonna do all that because of this truth. Which everything they do is gonna try to be a distraction to make people forget the truth, to distract them from the truth, but also to silence the truth. So simply us speaking is tearing down America more than we think. And not just to service the prophets, but everybody's that's speaking truth. Because who did they learn it from? The elders from GMS on down. And we're going to get this in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, 27 and 28. It says, for evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. Because see, when somebody say this word evil, and it says evil shall be put out, they think the evil is the devil and Satan and Satan's demonic spirits. We're going to show what this evil is. Let me search up something real quick. Lord willing, I can find it. So this is the book of Psalms, chapter 52. We're going to show that evil that's being put out. Psalms 52, verse 3. Look at this. Thou lovest evil more than good. Now let's see what the evil is. Let's see what the good is. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness. So this evil that's being talked about is all of the lies of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. And what's the good? Speaking truth. That's righteousness. So back to the book of 2nd Ezra 6:27. For evil shall be put out. And what's that evil? All of the lies that's been told. Everything they taught us in school. Everything we learned about history. Everything we learned in these last days is being put out, and deceit shall be quenched. It says, as for faith, that's the truth, it shall flourish. Corruption, meaning the lies, shall be overcome. And when you overcome the lies of a group of people, you overcome them as well. You overcome them emotionally and spiritually. And in doing that, we gonna get victory against the beast. Because to try to stop this truth, they're going to crash the system. And when you go into it, to try to stop this truth, they're going to shoot nuclear missiles on each other. It ain't going to be directly for that reason, but it's going to be indirectly. And the truth, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared. So the truth will be declared in the last days. Back to the book of 2nd Ezra 2 and 8, and then shall that we can be revealed by what? This inquisition, period of prolonged, intensive questioning and investigation. So that will reveal the wicked, because the truth will come out, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, by the Lord putting his spirit, by touching the mouths, pouring out his spirit on the people to speak truth. Then when we look up the word spirit, it said one of the things, many things it said was spirit of truth. So that's the reaction. Somebody will be targeted or hurt by this truth coming out. And it's one group of people. And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So the wicked's being revealed. The reaction, we've been seeing it. They've been hurt by the truth. They got to crash the system now. And what's the next step? And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So the wicked is going to be revealed, exposed, covered in shame, and then they're going to be destroyed. That's the formula. Also here in the book of Obadiah 1 and 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee. See that? Why would they be covered in shame? Because they will be exposed by the truth. And the truth coming out, it reveals them to be the wicked. And they covered in shame right now. That's them being consumed by the spirit of the Lord's mouth. That's the stage we at. So what's left? Thou shall be cut off forever. So they've been exposed, they covered in shame. All that's got to happen now, they got to be cut off. So back to 2Thessalonians 2 and 8, and then so that we can be revealed, it's speaking to a people in the earth, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. Because why ain't nobody exposing the devil? Why ain't the devil and Satan being revealed yet? No, everybody is speaking against one group of people. Ain't nobody, you know what? The last few years, it seemed like everybody forgot about Satan. Satan ain't being accused of nothing no more. But it's one group of people that's being accused of everything. Epstein Island, the genocide in Gaza, World War III being started, American people being oppressed because so many billions of dollars go to Israel every day. The war on energy, America stealing resources to fund Israel. Ain't nobody complained against Satan yet. Showing you that the wicked being revealed is a people in the earth. Esau, even the so-called white man, with that chief or that top wicked being them fake Israelis, whom the Lord is consuming and destroying with the spirit of his mouth by people simply speaking truth. And matter of fact, we're going to get this too. This is the last one. This is the book of Job. I think it's 20 and 27. The heaven shall reveal his iniquity. The earth shall rise up against him. I don't see nobody protesting against Satan. I don't see nobody making any kind of videos complaining against Satan. I don't see nobody exposing Satan. But I do see everybody rising up against Esau Edom, the so-called white man, here in the West. And also them fake Israelis. But this is the Lord revealing the wicked and consuming them with the spirit of his mouth. Pretty much the Lord will put his spirit on the people that speak truth. And it will expose a certain group of people to be the wicked. And they being exposed because that's who the Lord is going to destroy at his return. So finding out Esau Edom, the so-called white man, that they're Edomites, the Lord didn't reveal that information to us just so we can cuss them out and call them an Edomite and look down on them. Or to tell them he's going into slavery. Yeah, he is, but we got that information because the Lord about to cut him off from the earth. So Lord, what another formative edifying. Till next time, Shalom.